Hello. So we're here to talk again about organizational structure, and this lesson continues from where we left off in 9.1. So 9.2, the objective is going to be to look at organizational structures as they emerge, as they develop, and we'll give them a name, and you'll learn to differentiate between them because you also have to be able to recognize a structure when you are asked to do so and to recommend a structure based upon the circumstance that you might be told. So let me share a screen with you and begin this presentation. Now, the first question I think that we have to ask is what you know at this point in time, right? And and that's quite straightforward because you've probably just watched 9.1. So it's an easy question to answer. You know that we are giving effect to our planning when we organize. So we're planning about how to achieve a goal, and how we achieve that goal is by organizing our resources in a particular way. So organization is about that, organizing of resources. And when that happens, there's no guarantee that we'll achieve our goal, but there's a better chance. We also know from the definition, the Greek word, remember, organon, we know that organizations are tools or instruments to meet goals and objectives and to carry out tasks. Sounds very much like a definition, doesn't it? And here's the thing. A properly implemented organizing process should result in a work environment where all team members are aware of their responsibilities. So without telling people this is what you contribute, people should be able to figure it out from where they fit in the organization because their responsibilities are conjoined with other people's. Remember, we are grouping jobs together. When you group jobs together, you create a functionality and activity to which people then belong. There's a process, and the process is, first of all, what is the work that needs to be done? And then we can say, okay, who are the people who are going to be doing this? And then we say, all right, who's going to be the boss of them? And having done that, we are well on our way towards creating an organization structure. But the critical thing is, those organization structures are groups of human beings, of people who have fears and aspirations and goals and ambitions of their own, and a need to belong to something. The point then is for managers to create groups that people want to belong to, aspirational groups, in other words, because that's the best way to achieve a collective goal. From lesson 9.1, you remember this name, Willard Brinton. What does he have to say? Charting of information frequently brings out points which would be entirely overlooked if charts were not made. In other words, when we start drawing pictures of things, we get a better idea of where people fit. And the first functional structure I now want to introduce you to is this one here, functional structure. And we understand the functions of business very, very well because I've drawn this picture for you countless times now, and you understand that everything below the red line I draw on the screen in front of you is core activity to the organization. This is what brings in the money. The support activity, which is everything above that moving red line, is support activity, and the support activity includes counting up the money and bossing the people around to actually do the work. Okay? Now, how does that look when we start charting it for an organization? Remember, we were dividing the work up by functions. Well, that's what it looks like. And that seems to be easy enough, not so? So we see maybe marketing, maybe operations, maybe people, maybe money management over here. And it hasn't been drawn in, but you can see what we're getting at. If we divide it up into functions, then those functions are the ones you see on the page in front of you. And we can craft an organizational structure that looks very simply like that. Here's a slightly more complex one. And this appears in your textbook because I can see that because it's a McGraw-Hill copyrighted item. This is American terminology. The executive vice president and finance of finance and the chief financial officer, and executive vice president of merchandising and executive vice president of planning and allocations. Those are just marketing operations, people, money. Don't worry about the labels the Americans have drawn in there for you, but you're getting an idea, I think, of how this all works. So let's flesh it out a little bit. Do you see that there is, in fact, a money function, a marketing function, an operations function, and a people function here? Some more marketing, and then some more operations. And this one over here, I would say fits with administration and finance, really. So we'll make it a dollar symbol finance thing. So what we've got here from left to right is marketing, operations, people, and money. It always works like that. There's, of course, advantages and disadvantages to doing this. The advantages are that people understand from what is happening around them what they're doing, and also it makes it easier for managers to monitor what their subordinates are doing. But the problem is that departments don't necessarily communicate with each other. We talk about this in business as the creation of a silo structure. Marketing doesn't talk adequately to operations, and finance doesn't talk adequately to marketing, that sort of thing. Okay? That preoccupation with what your department is doing means you forget about your contribution as a department to the actual organizational goal, which is what you are actually trying to smash. All right. So, are there alternatives to functional structure? Indeed, there are. So, we talk about divisional structure. And we then say, can we find a different way to separate work out? And there are three of them. And there they are on the screen in front of you. We talk about product organizational structure and geographic organizational structure and market organizational structure. Seems to be all right. We're dividing the company up in terms of who works on what product. We're dividing the company up in terms of where they work. So in South Africa, this could be interior and Northern Cape, and it could be coastal, and it could be coastal south and coastal north, perhaps. And if we talk about markets, we can talk about where the customers are. So we could say urban, peri-urban, rural in terms of markets in South Africa. Let's draw some pictures for you. What the textbook presents is this illustration, and I know it's a textbook because it says copyright McGraw-Hill over here. There's a product structure. I think it's a fairly straightforward one. And there's a geographic structure, and here is a market structure. I think you should just pause this video at this point in time and drink that in and figure out what it is and turn to that page in the textbook if you have it. Here's another picture of a product organizational structure. And now we're saying the products are soaps and hair products and feet products and makeup and fragrance. Those are all product classifications. And we're saying that you can find a marketing department in hair products, for example, as well as a marketing department for makeup. The only regrettable thing here then is that you have two marketing departments. And that's going to be more expensive than having one marketing department. But if there are two marketing departments, and in fact there'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the benefit of having those many marketing departments is that those marketing departments will specialize in what they do. So makeup does makeup, because makeup and feet products are so different that you want someone to specialize in the marketing of podiatry product. I've got a picture for you of something that you should be fairly familiar with. If we talk about the corporate strategy and the corporate owner famous brands, then you recognize that we're talking feet product and makeup product and hair care product and soaps. Not so? In other words, famous brands is arranged around its products because that's the primary thing. And that's the rational way to divide famous brands up. You divide it up amongst its various food brands. So this is a divisional structure based on product, where you will have an electronics division which has multiple products in it. and a home goods section with multiple products in it, and a snacks division with multiple products in it. Again, just an illustration of the way we divide things up, and you can pause and freeze this lesson as often as you want to ensure that you understand this. The benefits are you can specialize in a particular job area if you are selling products. If you're selling products. The divisional managers, you can become experts, and corporate managers, for example, the people at Famous Brands don't have to worry about what they're doing in Wimpy and what they're doing at Steers and Debonair's and Fisherways, because those people know what they're doing. And finally, we're saying that you are optimizing the use of your resources. So if we go to geographic organizational structure, we are looking at something which is going to be distinctive. We're not dividing up by Steers and Wimpy and Debonair's. We're now dividing up by KwaZulu-Natal and Western Cape and Eastern Cape and Gauteng and Mpumalanga and Limpopo. All right, that's the best way to think about organization structure. You could, for example, look at all of Famous Brands' food companies in Mpumalanga and all of them in the Western Cape. But that would make it very, very difficult to ensure that a Wimpy burger, for example, in Cape Town would be the same as a Wimpy burger in Mbombela. So we rather say, let's divide this food company up on the basis of its products and not its geography. But from a geographic point of view, we see something over here. This could, for example, be a software company. This could well be Microsoft. And you have a head office, which would be American, and then you have America, and you have Africa, and you have Asia. Many international global products are divided up in this way, technology being a prime one. There's something I'm going to present to you now, which is a little different. That is the so-called matrix design structure. I've very rarely seen this working in formal or big organizations. That's just a little truth. Because we know from the scientific management principle we learned some weeks ago now, unity of command. In other words, you must only report to one boss, one person must command you, that you can create organizational structures that divide groups of people and the resources that they administer. You can divide them up by function as well as by product. So the example I list for you over here is something that you can see happening in this picture. So freeze and go back if you need to, but contemplate how that logic manifests over here. You'll have marketing, for example, attending to electronics and reporting to electronics, because electronics products are the core element of the business. Home goods has the same marketing people, and Yummy Snacks has the same marketing people. In much the same way, you have a sales team looking after electronics, and a sales team looking after home goods, and a sales team looking after Yummy Snacks. It's quite a tall order for a salesman to represent three very different things. But I expect that what happens in practice here is that you have a brand manager working on electronics and a brand manager working on home goods and one working on Yummy Snacks. And each of those brand managers all work in the marketing department, and each of them has a responsibility to the product that they're seeking to sell. There are a few other things I want to present to you. I'll simply say that we recognize the difference between tall organizations and flat organizations. And I'd like you to note that I've used the English spelling here for the United Kingdom and South Africa and Zimbabwe. But the spelling here is in American English. You should be aware that we try and use this particular spelling as much as we can. So a tall organization and a flat organization are two very, very different things. Do you recognize that this tall organization sounds like a classical organization structure? And this flat structure sounds very much like a neoclassical structure. So something for you to stew on, but let me present you with a summary and you can put your notes together. My summary is straightforward. We're saying that we must recognize that organizations are social units or collections of people pursuing a goal. We recognize that it is formality with respect to tasks that are performed and reporting relationships. We understand what organizational design is. It's a process by which managers actually set out to create an organizational structure which works for the organization. We recognize the distinction between tall or classical structures and flat or neoclassical structures. The easiest way seems to be to understand things as functional. But we can also look at divisional structures, which looks at product and geography and market structures. So, for example, the University of KwaZulu-Natal is something which is divided up in terms of product structure. The products then are the commercial qualifications offered by the College of Management and Law, and the science qualifications offered by the College of Agriculture, Engineering and Science, and the social science qualifications offered by the College of Humanities. Finally, I said that it was the most difficult thing to contemplate, but we do have to recognize that matrix design structures see something which contradicts the logic of scientific management and unity of command, because someone's got to report to two sorts of bosses. I will say that only when you have high caliber, high level people who are able to work on their own and have a fundamental alliance with the organization in terms of mapping their value system to the organization's value system, only then is this likely to work. So let's put me back in the picture, and I'm going to say this now brings to a close the learning points that I need for you to address as you prepare for a test in organizational theory. Enjoy, and thanks for watching.